Alright, so this is going to be part 1 to what if Deku had dark matter. So with that being said, let's just roll the intro.
Treat a bad bitch like she average. I'm a savage, little hoe, what you want do? I'm about cash, if the raw fast, I'ma get that little nigga by any means.
Alright, so, a few days ago, I went on my community poll, or community tab, and asked you guys if you would want this what if. I accidentally called it antimatter, but it's actually called dark matter. I'm not sure why, I don't remember why I called it antimatter. I just thought it was the name, but it's actually not. It's called dark matter. So a quick thing to get across this, when the power is called dark matter, right? But it's not actually the dark matter that's in the universe, what the universe is primarily made out of, right? It's not that type of dark matter. That's just the name of the ability. What it actually is it's unknown matter. And what I mean by this is that the matter that the user creates does not exist until he actually creates it, right? And because of this, he's actually able to give that matter any properties he wants, and they don't go by the laws of physics. They go by their own laws that the user gives to it. So yeah, it's basically like a creation quirk, but a little bit more advanced, right? So the user, I think his name was Kakina, or his name was like Kakine or something like that. Basically, I guess this is a spoiler, I guess, for a certain magical index, because this goes past the anime. So if you don't want to get spoiled by this, well, you'll just have to either just, stop watching the video or skip ahead a bit. If I remember to, I'll put a link, or not a link, a timestamp in the description. So yeah. So with that being said, I'll get into what the actual thing I'm talking about is. So in the kind of anime, right, where Accelerator fights dark matter, after he beats him and he basically sinks him into the kind of ground, right, in the light novel, he actually kills him by ripping off his arm, right? And basically they take the government, Alistair basically takes his brain and uses it to create more dark matter, like the actual material, but by keeping the brain alive because it wasn't damaged. And things happen where he was able to come back to life by creating his own body, or recreating his own body out of dark matter. And this is where he becomes like a resurrected form or revival, and his appearance is different. It's what you see on screen, and basically he shows a lot more stuff that he could do. Like he's able to create clones. They're called like cyborgs or cyborg-like creatures, basically, and he's able to regenerate by using dark matter to recreate his organs and things like that. And he basically becomes immortal, right? So we're not really gonna give that to Deku. We're only gonna give him like the base power, and maybe something to the degree of something close to the revival period, or the revival like kind of form, but that's like later in the story. So we would our story would start off with Deku basically like going to the doctors to see if his quirk would manifest. And before that, his quirk, or he wouldn't go to the doctor to see if it would manifest. He would go to the doctors to see what his quirk is, because it's already manifest, but they don't really know what it is, right? And what Deku can do is that he's able to produce this kind of strange kind of white material, but he doesn't really know what it does, but he could form it into like some shapes, right? And when they get to the doctors, they actually analyze the kind of stuff that comes out, and basically they tell his mom and Deku basically that the stuff that the son, Inko's son, has made was basically stuff that doesn't exist, right? And she's like, what does that mean? And he'd be like, okay, he'd be like, young man, try to like make a weapon, right? And basically the white material would form into a kind of knife, and after that, the doctor was said, okay, now make it like flexible, right? And then Deku would try to do that, and the doctor would try to like, he would show Inko like the knife trying to stab into the kind of the table, and it wouldn't. It would just like bend, right? So he basically explains to her that since it's matter that doesn't exist in this universe until Deku creates it, he's able to give it any properties he wants, and he could basically create almost anything he wants with it. So yeah. And I forgot to mention this, but dark matter is basically the only Esper really that could rival what's it called, Accelerator, because the way that the fight went was kind of, it really shouldn't have gone that way, because the only reason why Accelerator won is because Kakin basically explained how to beat him by saying that how he was able to get past his field. If he didn't say that, Accelerator probably wouldn't have won. But anyways, let's get off topic with that. That's off topic. So after hearing this, Deku, he's very excited to see he has like this creation quirk, and we're gonna call the quirk dark matter, even though technically that's not right, scientifically, but we're still gonna go with it just for the namesake. So Deku would go back to school, and he would explain his power to the class, basically saying it's a creation quirk, and a lot of people would, really see Deku as very powerful because he has this really cool quirk that he's able to create almost anything with, right? And Bakugou would still get that praise that he would normally get because his quirk is a little bit more flashy than Deku, because Deku doesn't really show it off, and Bakugou's is literally explosion, so everyone's gonna notice, right? So Deku, one day when Bakugou was actually bullying a kid, this is when Deku would actually try to save the kid by blocking the explosion. And the way that he blocks the explosion is actually he makes wings to protect the kid, to kind of shield him, right? And these wings are actually angel wings, the same angel wings that you see Kakin or Dark Matter use in the series, right? Right now he would only have one pair of wings instead of the normal 3 pairs. So yeah, people would see this, and Bakugou was like, "What did you do?" And this is when Deku would be basically, he would look like an angelic figure because of the white's kind of angel wings, right? So people would see him as kind of like a guardian angel in a sense because of that. And Deku would respond to Bakugou saying like, "I'm just doing what I should do, and that's to protect people," right? And Bakugou would get kind of mad at this and say, "Alright, you want to fight then?" And the fight goes pretty one-sided because Deku's able to create pretty large gusts of wind using his wings to blow back Bakugou. And Bakugou at this time, his quirk isn't very strong at this point, since he is still a small kid. So the fight is pretty over because he can't really reach Deku. So over the years, they kind of have this rivalry, but Deku, I don't think he would be friends with Bakugou in this timeline. I think Deku would be have more of an Ida kind of personality, where he's very by the books, and he is very righteous in a way because of how he's been kind of seen as with his angel wings and things like that, and him having a very powerful quirk. So he would go with that kind of personality of trying to protect everyone because he has the powers to do it. So we would get to the day where it'd be the last day of their middle school, I guess, and the teacher would come through and explain, give out the papers of people who want to what they want to do with their lives. And then after that was done, he would say that there's actually two people from our class that's actually trying to go into UA. Or actually, Deku in this one would actually get a recommendation, and Bakugou would try to go through the normal route. So, after the teacher would be like, oh, the two students are Bakugou and Midoriya, and basically, Deku would say to the class that he got a recommendation, through some heroes, right? Because he's been scouted before because he has a very powerful quirk, right? So Bakugou would get kind of jealous because of this, because he didn't get a recommendation, and he would go up to Deku and be like, "You think you're better than me because you got a recommendation?" And Deku would be like, "What are you talking about? I never said anything." And this is when Bakugou would like burn up his notebook, right? Using his explosions. So what Deku would do is that he would create another notebook from scratch using his dark matter. And Bakugou would get even angry at this and just kind of walk out, right? So Deku would basically walk home as usual, and he would do that kind of shortcut, and just how he does in the anime. And this is when the slime or the sludge villain actually attacks, right? But it's a lot different than usual. When the slime villain actually tries to go around Deku and kind of go inside of him, this is when Deku actually activates his quirk, dark matter, and the wings kind of sprout out and pushes back the sludge villain using a gust of wind, just how All Might would have done with his punch. So after that was done, he would basically contain the sludge villain within a spear or this kind of container made out of dark matter, right? And this is when All Might would come, and All Might would see a kid with I would say at this point he would get 2 pairs of angel wings. So he would see it and be like, "Whoa, kid, is that your quirk? Like, where's that villain? He came by through here." And Deku would be like, "Yeah, I have him like right here," and he would show him the container containing the villain. After that was done, All Might would be like, "Oh, what's your name, kid? And what's your quirk?" And he'd be like, "My name is Izuku Midoriya, and my quirk is dark matter." And he'd be like, "Huh, Izuku, huh? I'll remember that. Thank you for your help, and I'll be on my way," right? And this is when All Might would jump and kind of leave, just how he would normally do. Deku does not follow him or even attach himself to his body or his leg like he would do in canon, because he's very confident in his skills, and he is very it's not something he would regularly do because he has that kind of eat up personality, so he wouldn't do that. So he would walk back to his house normally, just how he does in canon, but without that kind of second sludge villain attack. So in this 10 months of training until the kind of a recommendation kind of test, Deku would actually train harder than he has done in his normal life, or normally up to this point, because he hasn't really needed to train too much. Dark matter, from what I've read, does give you a slight enhancement in strength, but it's not really shown how much, or really implied that he has that much enhanced strength by dark matter. But yeah, so with the kind of the 10 months, Deku would train somewhat on his body a little bit, just to kind of be on the safe side in case something were to happen where he wouldn't be able to use his quirk, or he'd be in a situation where he would need his physical strength. So he would do that, and he would figure out different ways to use dark matter, right, and different things he could create. So yeah, you guys can give me ideas, I guess, for what he could create with his dark matter, since it is technically like a creation quirk. So yeah, Deku at this point, after the 10 months were done, he would, go to the regular kind of recommendation, and this is where he would meet Momo, Todoroki, not Tamaki, what's his name? I think his name is Yuarashi, the wind kind of quirk user. So, Deku in this one wouldn't really talk to anyone because he wouldn't want to distract them because he wants all of them to do their best, right? So, basically, he would get, first place in the kind of race to the top of, I think it's in the USJ, I believe, where they have that race, right? He would get first place because of his dark matter wings, and he's a lot faster than someone like Yuarashi or someone like what's his name, Todoroki, because dark matter would be on the same speed of someone like Accelerator, right? Which is very fast. So he would basically get first place within that. And if I don't remember the other kind of test they had because they didn't really show too much, but yeah, he would basically get first place in the race, and most other tests depending on what they are. So yeah, so with that, so I guess we could get a little bit into the introductions. So after that was done, I don't think Deku or would convince Yuarashi to kind of go to UA because he wouldn't have no reason to, right? He wouldn't want to talk to anyone there for the reasons like I said earlier. So there, Yuarashi would not be or go to UA still. So after this was done, or the week passed, right, and Deku would get the letter from All Might, basically saying that he, broke records that day at the recommendation, and he's been accepted to UA, so he'd be very happy, and the next week he would go to UA, and this is where he would meet Uraraka and Ida, right? He wouldn't really know him from the kind of exam, but he would see him, and Deku, he would be kind of charismatic a bit because he was seen as that kind of that kind of protector, and he wants to be that kind of person, so he'd be very charismatic. So he would go up to Ida after he was kind of yelling at Bakugou, and them having that kind of history together, they wouldn't really like each other. And this is when Ida would introduce himself as Tenya Ida, and after that was done, this is when Uraraka would come behind him and do the same thing, and Deku would introduce himself as Izuku Midoriya, and he would kind of give this kind of offer to them. He would say, like, if you're ever in danger, I'm always there to help. And both of them would be wouldn't really know how to respond, given that that was like one of the first things he said. But again, they would appreciate the sentiment. So yeah, I'm gonna end it here, and in the next part we'll go over the quirk assessment and the villain, or the heroes versus villains. And then if you guys really like this episode or this part, make sure you like and subscribe to to let me know that you guys want more episodes of this. So yeah, with that being said, this is going to be the end of the video. So yeah,